I just installed a hidden kill switch in my Toyota Tacoma. Now if someone nefarious gets a hold and tries to steal my truck, without switching this hidden kill switch, even if they have the key fob, they won't be able to start it. A few months ago, I told you guys a story about how my friend's Toyota Tacoma was stolen. And yes, while it was partially a mix of it being parked in a vulnerable location, as well as just a stroke of really bad luck, the fact of the matter is that these trucks are easy targets for thieves. Now, being a Tacoma owner myself, I see stories like this all over Reddit, and unfortunately, I also get emails from you guys who are sharing similar experiences of your Toyota Tacomas getting stolen, which I just absolutely hate hearing about. And I actually kind of made a whole video about this topic already and kind of sharing the details of my friend's story, as well as also some characteristics about these trucks after having owned one that I think personally make them vulnerable to thieves. But rather than just talk about it, today we're actually going to implement a solution, or I guess it might be better described as a layer of security, a layer of theft deterrence, because you can never fully theft-proof a vehicle. Insert the 4122 drop-in kill switch. Now, what's really cool about this install today is that it's completely plug and play. So no modifications, no cutting up factory wiring, no drilling, no soldering. I don't have to worry about breaking my warranty, even though I'm probably way past that point with this truck at least. But you guys just know, in general, I don't like things that really interfere too heavily with the factory things already installed in my truck. And I just like the idea of things being reversible in case I don't end up liking them down the line, although I don't think this is gonna be one of them. It doesn't take that long to do either, and the potential upside of how this can save my entire truck, I think, is going to make it well worth it. Okay, so the whole idea is that you have this red toggle switch hidden in a discrete location. Well, this is not the best hiding spot, but it's just for demonstration. I'm actually gonna mount it somewhere else and not tell you guys. Anyways, the switch is connected under the hood to 4122's relay bypass module, which is what you'll replace your OEM starter relay with. And with this all installed, the kill switch system denies power to the starter motor, which will of course not allow the truck to start. Effectively, this is identical to popping your hood and physically pulling out your starter relay module by hand, but it's just much more convenient. So let's try it out. So with my kill switch deactivated, my truck should just behave normally. So when switched in this position, let's try to start the truck. I've got my key right nearby, foot on the brake, press the start button. All right, we've got a normal crank and start. So you can see the truck started, nothing abnormal. I'll actually stop the truck. Get that seatbelt chime to stop, and then in the same clip, what I want to do is flip the switch for you guys so you can see it in action. So flipping the switch. Now we've activated the kill switch system. So let's try to see what happens when we start the truck. So again, keys nearby, foot on the brake. Just like that, the truck will not start. A little check engine light pops up. So we can stop. Switch the switch back. And then we're back in the system where we could start the truck again. In fact, here's the whole system laid out exactly how it is, just not mounted actually in the truck. So we obviously have our toggle switch, as you guys saw, the relay bypass module, and again, this is what replaces the OEM starter relay. This is just a grounding terminal, and all these things are fed into a control junction box. So really, not much to it. Now, could a thief realize what's going on, pop the hood, open up the fuse box, find the bypass relay, replace it with a starter relay, actually start the truck, and then drive off with it? Well, yeah, they definitely could. And while I don't want to say that this is an impossible scenario, I personally think that that is highly unlikely to happen if you have this kit installed. Yes, there are smart thieves out there, I truly believe it, but at the same time, anything that takes more effort, more time, adds more risk for the person involved stealing the truck. And the hope is that when they realize this is happening, even if they know how to bypass the bypass, the idea is that they will recognize the heightened risk and abandon their plans and move on. If anything, it's just a layer of security, and a big layer of security because it is very discreet. But then again, nothing is fully theft determined, because you know what they say, anyone really determined will find a way. I mean, someone could literally get a tow truck and tow your vehicle off if they really wanted to. But you can only do your best, and for how easy you're about to see how this install is, plus the price, I think it's well worth it. If anything, it is a good peace of mind. And sure, another solution that would give you the same behavior without having to install this kill switch kit would be to just remove your starter relay every single time. I think the 4122 solution is just more convenient. It's a lot more elegant. You don't have to carry this around with you all the time and worry about losing it, which would leave you stranded. You also see that pulling these fuses, while it's not like super difficult or anything, they are kind of wedged in there pretty tightly. So if you were to constantly put the fuse in, take it out, put it in, take it out, you could potentially over time ruin some of the electrical contacts or maybe the plastic housing. So my choice is just the kill switch kit. And this business, 4122, from my own research, is really awesome. They're actually out of here in SoCal, and the way this kill switch product even went on my radar was the owner reached out to me after watching my Tacoma thefts video, so that's kind of cool. And you guys know I just really like supporting small businesses. From what I can tell, they did a really cool job with this product. It's actually patent pending, which is pretty cool, and they've also got a bunch of really great off-road accessories on their website as well. And while editing this video, 4122 actually made a discount code for you guys to use. Check out the link in the description and use code CHLOEKUO for 10% off. Shout out to them for that. But anyways, yes, I really like their solution for all the reasons I have already mentioned, but mostly for the fact that it just really doesn't disturb anything else in the vehicle. So it's not designed to drain the battery or cause a check engine light or weird behavior or really make the truck behave any differently than you and I are already used to. Okay, so let's get into this install. So I'm gonna go through everything I think we'll need before we actually go through with this kill switch install, and then I'll do an unboxing of the 4122 kit. There may be a couple things I am missing, but this is just generally the gist of things you can expect to possibly use. So got a ratchet, got a 10mm socket, also a 14. Got a pair of needle nose pliers. I think these are a must to pull the OEM relay out. Also a must, I think, are going to be some wire strippers. Unless you can strip wires with something else like scissors. Heat gun's going to be really good for some butt connectors that we have that have like the heat shrink things on them. And then for mounting things, I'm expecting to use maybe some zip ties and double-sided tape. Now let's check out what's in this kill switch kit. First off, we've got some disclaimers. This is a good one. Don't pull relays by the wire, because you'll see the bypass relay in here has a wire attached to it. And then we've got some instructions. All right, inside of our kit, we've got this bundle of wires and a bunch of different things. Here we've got the control junction box, and then our actual bypass relay with a wire coming out of it. We've got a black wire attached to an eyelet. This is just going to be a ground wire. And then the other end of this long wiring bundle is going to have a positive and ground wire, which we're going to connect to a provided toggle switch in the kit. And this also comes with those two heat shrink butt connectors. Last thing inside looks like another bypass relay. If we look at this one closely, it's actually a reverse relay. And through my testing, I actually found that the relay that already comes attached to this bundle is totally fine. It works for the Toyota Tacoma, or at least my 2019 specifically. But if you have a vehicle where this doesn't work, check out and maybe try the reverse relay instead. Now onto the installation instructions. First things first, I think disconnecting the negative terminal from the battery isn't a bad idea, and you can use your 10mm socket for that. just because we're doing some minor electrical work here. And then you want to open the fuse box right behind the battery and locate the starter fuse, which you could tell on my truck by this diagram on the other side of the lid. It's this one marked ST, and it's the one I'm pointing to, but please verify this in your own truck to make sure you're pulling the right relay. Now, when you're removing this relay, if it is your first time, you'll definitely need needle nose pliers because it's wedged in there pretty tightly. But I find that pulling it up while also just shimmying it side to side is pretty effective. Just take your time. Now here's what the starter relay looks like. We technically no longer need it, but I'd keep it safe just in case you ever do need it again. Now let's take the 4122 harness and detach the relay and control junction box side from the long harness side. This will make everything a little easier to work with since we're adding this relay in place of the starter. So simply plug it in, and there's literally only one way it can go, so you can't really mess it up. And once it's in, it does stick out a little bit more than the stock one does, but that's alright, there's plenty of clearance. So you can already see I use a couple of these bolts as chassis ground for other accessories I have. So I'm going to use one of these two, probably this one because it's a little bit closer to the fuse box. And also I think, yeah, it definitely has fewer eyelets already connected to it in order to ground this system with the provided eyelet from the 4122 kit. You could also just put this to the negative terminal of the battery, but this is gonna be a little bit cleaner in my opinion for me. So this is what I needed my 14mm socket for. Just add this other eyelet on. So yes, all I'm doing is grounding the harness. So there's it all closed off, and then the wires, our ground wire and our relay bypass wire coming out this end to our control box, which I'm going to mount somewhere over here. All you have to do is mount the control junction box somewhere, and it does have a mounting hole, but I'm just gonna stick it with some double-sided tape because that stuff never fails me. But to give it its absolute best chance, I'm going to clean my mounting surface, then stick that thing down. And now, onto the fun part. Okay, you can kind of see it. The firewall where all the wires are going inside to the cab. And that is where we need to route our last wire through. Getting through the firewall can be a tricky ordeal, even with smaller hands like me. But I have a few tricks, including the use of this brass rod. Essentially, you'll want to use it as a guide, so on the inside of the cab, on the other side of the firewall, feed it through into the engine bay. Once you find it on the other end, tape your harness to it and then pull the whole thing through into the cab. And if you remember, what comes out is a red and black wire, which are pretty high gauge. So when you're stripping the ends, which we do need to do in order to connect it to our toggle switch, just be really careful or you'll break some of the stranded wire. Once you have your stripped ends, crimp down your butt connectors, making sure visually metal is making contact with metal, and on the other end, crimp down your switch wires. It's pretty straightforward here. Red goes to red, black goes to black. And now it's time to use a heat gun to seal up some of those connections. Once you're done with that, all that's left to do is hide your switch. Again, ideally in a better spot than here, but honestly, this isn't too bad. Unless somebody pulls the floor mat back and finds it, then it looks very suspicious. And of course, don't forget to reconnect your battery or none of this will work. But that's all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think it is unique and I hope this video truly saves some trucks out there. Again, you could get a discount in the description, but thank you so much for watching and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!